another edition in the DISC series, Better Connection, Better Communication. We'll be focusing on using DISC as a tool to improve relational capital. Now, I'd like you to take a moment and think back to either the first time you stepped into a foreign country who had a language you didn't know, or the first time you were immersed in a group that had a totally different focal point that you had difficulty connecting with. So remember being in that environment, trying to communicate, trying to click in with the group, trying to relay information and things that were on your heart. Remember the difficulty, trying to use different words, different language, trying to convey something where there was difficulty finding that common bridge. Now, because 3/4 of the world speaks in a different behavioral language than you do, that's a picture of how communication is for most of us, where our heartfelt intentions are not being relayed correctly most of the time. But what we're going to learn today is with some slight modification, with just some tiny changes, you can begin to shift your behavioral language into a way that sinks in with the listener. And when you can do that, there's a greater chance that they're going to be able to receive, connect with, understand the information that you're sharing so that you can find that common bridge, so that you can be standing at that same point that you intend to be able to move forward. So let's listen in and find out exactly how we can utilize the tools given to us from DISC to better communicate, to better connect with the listener. So we're now going to move into a review of the rest of this message, to step into some reminders about the DISC profile. So you've got, again, you're reminded of an overview of the different behavioral styles. And if you haven't taken your own DISC profile, I highly recommend that you stop this message now and pause it, go online to coachingrevelation.com and take the DISC assessment for yourself. So let's start with an overview. As with each training in the DISC series, I'll hope you come away with at least 3 core things. The first is a better understanding of yourself. God created you with a unique set of gifts, personality traits, talents, and behavioral tendencies. When you have a better understanding of what those behavioral tendencies are, is what we pull away from the DISC assessment, you can better understand and see your place in life of where God has specifically designed you to be able to fit into an area to make a difference. And so that understanding help validate all of those unique aspects of your life to help know that you have a particular place to be. And I'll help you fulfill that calling that God has for your life. The second is to grow a value for others. We naturally like and gravitate towards others that are similar to us. But most of the world is vastly different from you, not only in our behavioral tendencies, but in our gift sets and in our talents. They're so unique because God has placed in each of us a unique gift set, a unique combination of talents, gifts, and abilities, so that we will be drawn to one another when we can overcome that initial obstacle of they're not like me and into they're different and they add value into my life. The third part is to have a focus on working and connecting together and building a relational capital. Now, we weren't meant to walk this road alone. We were meant to do it in relationship with others. We're meant to do it together. And together, we build a synergy that can accomplish so much more. The body of Christ is comprised of different parts of hands and feet and knees and elbows and ligaments that don't function well just by themselves. You need all of them working in a harmony together. And the relational capital that is built by investing time, by improving our communication, by having a value for others, by having a value for ourselves, all comes together to a point to be able to move forward, not only in connecting with our destiny call, but helping others along in their destiny call to accomplish what and why we were put here on the earth. So to briefly describe what DISC represents, a D, I, S, and C. D is for dominance, I is for influence, S is for steadiness, and C is for conscientious. So starting with the high D, someone who maxes out as 100% on the high D, I'd have words to describe them as compelled, driven, focused, determined. So if you remember back to the movie Gladiator, the key character Maximus really embodies that high D. He is willing to risk everything to go forward to that goal that he has set in bringing justice. Now let's look at a high I. 100% high I is someone who would be described as charismatic, outgoing, engaging, inspiring, enthusiastic. Jim Carrey or Robin Williams, if you've ever seen them in an interview, they have so much enthusiasm about what they're talking about, they can hardly stay in their seats. They're moving around, they're bouncing, the facial expressions are off the chart. They represent that high I. Now the S for steadiness, someone who is stable, a team player, that glue that really holds the team together. Patient, service-oriented, loyal. Mother Teresa was a high S. She embodied that by sacrificing everything that she could have to go down to Calcutta to serve the poorest of the poor, to a place she knew she was called to commit her life to help other people. And finally, a high C. Someone who ranks up at 100% on the chart is detailed, a planner, deliberate, analytical, and careful. The character Sherlock Holmes embodies this well. Anyone who's able to take such minute details and be able to extrapolate from that pieces that fit into equation to come to an end solution to the problem is a high C. So those are the basics. I highly recommend that you look at our DISC overview audio. That'll be able to go more in depth with each one of those so you have a greater understanding where you lie and now where others lie. But let's jump into the track where I'm speaking with a group of about 200 people about how to track other people in communication to get a good guess about where they are. And the purpose in the end is for you to start to modify your behavior in communication to match up with their style so that there are fewer obstacles and there's a better connection. Let's jump right in.
Well, who's ready to learn a little bit more about DISC and how to utilize it? How about who would like some tools to be able to implement this, to be able to communicate better with people of a different language behavioral style? There, all right, so we're on board now. This is what we're going for. So you've got a great understanding of what values, what motivates, what really gets some people engaged, and what gets some of the other groups disengaged. So you've got that understanding. I want to focus us in a smaller area, but one that we use more often is how to effectively communicate with people that are in another DISC behavioral style language. So what we're going to go through is I want to share a little bit of information. My high C kicked up, and I wanted to, although I limited it to just 13 seconds, to give you a lot of information. Are you ready? I had to share exactly all the different things because there's 3 different categories. When you're in a conversation with someone, there's 3 categories of information, and I have to share it with you. Are you ready? Yeah. All right. So, for the people with the dominance, there's 3 things. All right, those are the categories. Now for influence, are you ready? For steadiness, verbal, vocal, and visual. All right? So we got that down, high C's, we took pictures, it's streamlined. All right. I can't spend that time on those 3. We have gone over a lot of information, but what I want to do is I want to hand you a tool that you can go out and use immediately. So I'm moving from the high C, move with we high C's, we're moving over to something that we can do right now, and we're going to be practicing it today. So we're going to be standing up, we're going to be working on it, but I want you to understand it better, so we're going to simplify it, and we're going to look at some similarities and some contrasts between the different groups. So for the D's and the I's, there are 4 things that we're going to focus on similarities. So we're able to group things together, which makes it easier. When you're communicating with the D and an I, you're going to generally see some wider gesturing. They're going to be out here. You're going to see hand motions that are happening, that are up, out, that are towards you. So that's what you're going to see. You're going to hear them speaking faster. You're going to hear them speaking a little bit louder. They've got a message. You need to hear it. They've got a lot of information that's ready to come at you. They want you to hear about all of the different ideas and the facts that are going on. Generally, they've got more eye contact. They're connected, and they want to make sure that you are in the receiving position to get all of it. So that eye contact is there. And because they have a lot to share, either the D's with the tasks or the I's with the information about people and all the stories about them and what's going on in their life, a lot of times they're already going to know or think they know what you're going to say, and so they're ready to share what they've got before you've finished your sentence. They're ready to cut in, and it's not an offensive thing that they're wanting to do. They're not devaluing, but as their mind is just flying through information, they are so ready. They've already thought of the next 3 things that they want to say. They are just chomping at the bit to spit it out. So it comes through, and it can be an interruption there. All right, now we're looking at C's and S's. So again, similarities that we're going to see with them. The gesturing. You'll notice me. I'm going to try to get outside my box, but I've got a box here as an S and a C. And this is my comfort zone. And when I'm really excited about something, whoa, my hands go up, and this is big excitement for me. This is big. This box is huge. And otherwise, right here, yeah, this is normal conversation. Things are right in here. You could see it earlier if you can think about when those S's and C's are up here. There's a box, and the box extends about this far. That's a wide gesture out in front of me. So I'm taking it slow. There we go. I'm back here. Speaking slower and softer. You're going to hear about that. There's for the D's and the I's, there's a lot more energy that's being displayed through the things. For the S's and C's, that energy level is a little more subdued. So they're talking a little softer. They're talking a little slower. They've got thought processes that are happening in between each sentence, each word, each pause. Things are going on. A little less eye contact. And that doesn't mean there's no eye contact, but they can become a little uncomfortable sometimes if they're staring for too, I got to avert. I got to look at something else. It just feels too something. So a little less eye contact, what you'll see. And the pauses. And oftentimes it's a respect. I'm done with my conversation and I will pause. That's the point for you to be able to add in what you've got. And if you want to hear what I've got, you need to pause. When that pause comes, then I know now you are ready to receive the information I've been waiting to share with you. So those are some differences there, but the similarities for the C's and the S's. Now we're going to look at the D's and C's to see what they have in common. They're task-focused, very much driven by information and deadlines, those tasks, things that need to be done and accomplished. That's going to be on their mind, and those are the words that they're going to be using are going to be task-focused. They're going to discuss data, facts, figures, information, a little less smiling. Doesn't mean that they're not as happy. They're just not always demonstrating it through using those facial muscles. And the DCs are talking less. Either because they're wanting to get to the point exactly and we're going to move on to something else because there's a new task, something I can be accomplishing, something I can be doing. And oftentimes it'll be that, or they just don't need to be spending all that time engaging in that conversation. What do I's and S's have in common when we're communicating? People-focused. Focused on friends, names, feelings, emotions. Those are dynamics that you're going to hear in the conversations that are going to come up, and conversation they're going to want to steer that way. More smiling. They like to use those facial muscles so you can see what's going on there. And they're talking longer because they've got more friends to talk about. They've got more issues, more feelings. We can go a little deeper. We can talk about the relationships. We can talk about the relationships we gained from the relationships of the other people that we just met. So if we start to put these up here and see how they work out, and I'm positive it was a high C that started to find out how this grid all comes together, must have been, we can put all of them up here, and then when we add the information of the similarities between the D's and the I's, the C's and the S's, the D's and C's over here, and then the I's and the S's, wow, we've got an interesting phenomenon that's going on here. So when you're conversing with someone, if we were to put a grid down here, and if you had a piece of paper just like this in front of you, and you were maybe not engaged in the conversation, because this would be a little distracting to start marking down and looking at a paper, but if you're watching someone in a conversation and you don't know their disc profile, well, what if you were to put a mark up here when you saw something of the wide gesturing? They were people-focused, or they were talking a lot about data, or they had the narrow gesturing, or they were pausing in between their conversations. If you continued watching that and putting a mark down for every observed behavior that you saw, something starts to happen. Where do you start to see some of these marks, these ticks, starting to congregate? We've got a little bit up here in the top, and then we've got some more over here. So what is that probably going to indicate? What style, type of person is this? If it was just, we only had information in here, we can only guess, start to guess, make an estimate that this is probably either a D or an I. If we just had this information, it's probably a D or a C. But when you've got both, when you've got enough information in here, when high C's, you're able to apply proper statistical analysis because you have enough information applied in here, you can make a proper estimated guess as to what this style and type is. So what I'd like you to do is to turn into your binder into the form that does look like this. And I want you to be able to do this. I've got 2 videos for you to be able to see. And I'm going to have you start to make check marks while you're watching a conversation that's going on. So we're going to begin tracking the observations. So this is observed behavior. So you've got it indicated clearly on there. If I've got some wide gesturing, where are you going to put the mark? On the top part, right? If I've got the narrow gestures, it's going to be down at the bottom. Okay. If I'm talking a lot about people and feelings, and if I'm talking a lot about data. All right. Seems like you got an idea. So, sound, if we're ready, we're going to watch the individual on the left. And I think I muted it for language, so let's see how well I did.
I know that you know the former president, and you've been together socially.
I did.
Yeah.
I know him.
What kind of stuff?
When I hang out with him, I try to avoid the smart stuff. I try to steer it to sports. If I could just get it to basketball, I can hang. But, whoa, that was the economy and the election.
I know.
Boy, is it me or he didn't want to say the name Barack Obama? He did not. He went through everything he could do. Well, like Hillary would want to do it to economy. Hillary ain't running.
Well.
Hillary's not running. What the hell?
Yeah, I understand. I'm leaving this up to
Somebody,
you.
just one of those guys need to tell him.
All right. I'll make a call later.
I love Hillary, but, you know, she lost.
Yeah. Now,
She lost.
he mentioned...
She got a lot of votes. She lost. She did. The Patriots got a lot of points, too.
Yeah.
But they lost to
I
the
understand.
Giants.
Yeah. I like this. What are we doing here?
All right, so let's just call out, what are some of the observed behaviors that you saw on Chris Rock during this interview? Wide gestures, eye contact, talking slow, some smiling, some interruptions. Lots of interruptions. So you guys are demonstrating it right now, too. Nice. Smiling. People focused. Right. All right, so you had most of your marks on the top, bottom, left or right? Top and the right. So we would make an estimated guess that Chris Rock is a aye. Very good. You guys got this. All right. So I've got a different person for you to be able to watch this time. There's only one person in the conversation, so I think it'll be easy to figure out where we're going from here. I have you mark it down on the bottom. Could be the same type as Chris.
You know, I was thinking, you don't have to be anything more than who you are for people to like you. You are my friend. You are special. You are my friend. You're special to me. You are the only one like you, my friend. I like you in the daytime, in the nighttime, any time that you feel's the right time for a friendship with me, you see. F-R-I-E-N-D, special. You are my friend. You're special to me. There's only one in this wonderful world. You are special.
Mr. Rogers, bless him. All right, what were some observed behaviors that you saw? No gesture. Yeah, big gesture right here and right here. Discussing feelings. Yes, very important because you're special and you picked up on that. Good job. What else? What's that? Slower, yes. Clearly enunciating. Pausing, softer. Smiling, yes. So, top, bottom, left, right, where were a lot of the marks at? Bottom right. So Mr. Rogers was a high. Wow, you guys are brilliant at this. You guys are brilliant. I like this. All right, good. You feel positive? You feel good about this? Yeah. All right, because now we're going to move on to doing this in real time, but in a conversation. So this is how you're going to, so this was practice. This is getting to know top, bottom, left, right. And you can think in those terms. You don't always have to have a grid, but I do have a grid for you. So what we're going to, the purpose of this then is when you're in conversation with someone, you want the message that you've got to be understood, and you want to receive information from them so that you can engage. You can get something productive out of it so that in the end, you're moving forward and you hopefully feel more connected in some way. Because we understand by now relationships are really important, even for the D's and C's. They know they have to have relationships to get tasks effectively done and moving forward. So if you're speaking with someone and you did an eloquent job, you touched every point, you used great illustration and stories to really hammer the point home, they're nodding, looks like receiving the information, but then you find out at the end they don't speak English at all. How much communication actually went on? So there wasn't much listening. So listening is really what the other person does. They handle the side of the communication. And so what we want to do is we want to reduce the number of obstacles for clear communication to be able to happen. So you can start to imagine if you've got a D that has some wide gestures that is talking to someone maybe who's a high S, and you're right next to them, you're using big gestures, and you're staring at them, how much are they going to receive? How much are they going to be able to pick out of that and just jump on board? Yes, I want to do what you want to do. Probably not as much. But if we're able to move towards and help start to modify some of our behaviors, start to tone down, but if you can start to move in their direction, what's going to happen if you meet them at their level? If you meet them where they are? I think you're going to feel some honor. They're going to feel some honor. They're going to feel that respect. And there's just something that happens inside of you. Wow, they get me. I really felt connected there. Wow, I understood what they were talking about, and I felt that I was understood. And it works the same way. If you've got a high C that needs to talk to a high I, and they've got everything in their box here, it's not going to come out as cross for the high I. They just don't have a grid. I mean, this is, wow, a sad, depressed person for them in here. So if that C is able to get the hands out here, if they're able to talk about people a little more, they're going to be able to find some connection points to be able to relay their information. So I wanted to go over again that we've got the high I's have these. So if we've got something that's going to happen, again, just to demonstrate a visual of moving closer between the I and the C, the part that always has to be there so it's not a mocking thing is you've got to have a desire to honor the other person, for them to feel honored, and want trust to begin to build, because this is part of a relationship. Even if it's just a one-time conversation, if you can have an influence in their life by connecting with them, feeling that they're heard, what can happen in that? What can happen in just that moment for people that want to add in significance to someone else's life? If people that want to influence them, if people that want to feel connected, all of those things can happen if you're able to meet them where they are, move closer to them. So that's what we're going to be working on. So I've got 2 guests from the GTI League that are going to come forward, and what I want them to do is begin to demonstrate what's going to happen, because we're going to break into teams of 3 afterwards, and we're going to do some role plays. It's small groups, so S's and C's can feel safe. The I's are going to love it because they get to take on a whole new personality just for the fun of it. And then we're going to have an observer who is going to take a look at the information and try to decide and talk about how well that the second person modified their behavior. So for these 2 people as they come up, and where's their other microphone? All right, Brittany, thank you. Yes.
Hello. Hello. There you go. It's working.
Hey, Brittany, how you doing?
I'm good. Hey,
How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. I have this fundraiser that I'm in charge of, but I need some help because I've got to raise $4,000. I've only got 4 weeks to do it. So I want to know if you can help me. Is that something that you're interested in? Because I really could use your help. Right? I mean, it's going to take me 4 weeks, literally, but I really could use your help because I need $4,000.
Happy to help you, yeah.
Are you sure?
I mean, I can see that you're feeling pretty passionate about it.
I am. I'm so excited. It's for the school. I love the school. You know, the Christian school. I have a little girl. But anyways, so I've got $4,000 that I need to raise. So I need you to contact the sponsors. Is that possible?
I can do that.
There's 400 of them.
I can.
400. You can totally do. Anyways, so I need you to contact all the sponsors and then $4,000. So I'm figuring if we come in within like $1,000 a week, so that will meet our goal. Is that possible?
I am
Can
with
you do that?
on that. I am with you on that.
Okay.
And I can get some people to help.
Are you sure?
I'm thinking about who I can pull in and get to help.
I knew you'd have resources for me.
Can you imagine how much a school would really be able to benefit from if we could do this? I mean, this is
school,
awesome. We could really
I
do
know.
this.
You know what? I bet my kid is going to graduate and he's going to thank you for that.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
You know what? Thanks. $4,000, remember?
Hey, not a problem.
$4,000.
We can exceed that, actually. We can do better than that.
I like how you're thinking.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you.
Okay.
Excellent. Let's give him a round of applause. Thanks, Steve. Well done. Thank you, Brittany. Well done. So, what kind of behaviors did you get to witness with Brittany over here? Faster, louder. Interruptions, yes. Direct, close in the face there. Discuss data, yes, there was there. So there were a couple high I things focused. There were a couple high I things, but there was a lot of D that was there. Now, what did we initially see from Stephen as he was over here? What kind of behaviors at first? A little more, right? A little more reserved in there, quiet. You got to talk about people and things. That's just innately inside of him. Anything else? Paused. And then what did we start to see? Did you see the transition? At what point did that happen? What were some of the first signs that you saw of the behavior starting to shift? Hand gestures, okay? Got a little closer in there, right? Got a little louder, yes. Brought in that excitement. He talked about some data. He talked about some other things. So he started to move towards. So he wasn't completely in that D role, but he did a great job of modifying some of his behaviors to help build in that connection. So how many of you think that how many of you know that you have this ability to be able to modify your communication behavior to connect more with the people around you? All right.
And since technology hasn't yet caught up with us to enable this audio cast to be interactive with others, I'm going to need you to do this homework assignment on your own. But the first homework assignment is to take the second page of the DISC tracking form and to watch 6 pairs of people in communication and begin to track down top, bottom, left, or right of where their behavioral style gets mapped out when you see those behaviors. The second homework assignment is to do the modification portion, and that's to engage in a real live conversation with someone and begin to modify your communication behavioral style to better match up with that other person. Because when you're able to do that, when you're able to connect, to find that common ground, you're going to find you have a better understanding of what's on their heart. They have a better understanding of what you're wanting to communicate as well as your intentions. And you're able to move forward to better connect, to better communicate, and to build that relational capital that helps get things done. So I'd look forward to hearing feedback from you. You can find me at coachingrevelation.com, and I'd love to see you online on Facebook at facebook.com/coachingrevelation.